Hey, Gearbox here. Welcome to Market Monday. Instead of this week talking about promos and stuff that are coming, sets and whatnot, how to make coins, I think I'm going to break down like the MUT economy, a lot of different like say terms or things that you need to know or kind of should know about this game and all of MUT. So this is something I wrote. I started writing this Madden 16. I think my last touch of it, I know the last touch of it was in the beginning of Madden 18. And I just forgot to record the video. Hopefully, maybe I'll make it better for 20 when I redo this video. But let's go through it from the top. There are a few things that drive the Madden economy. There are packs and their odds / the offerings on the store. Solo rewards, coin sinks, head-to-head rewards, the auction house, objectives, quick sells, badges, sets, new cards out of the game. Like, you know, Team of the Week, Football Outsiders, all that stuff. Like, a lot of these terms might be a little outdated because I did at the beginning of Madden 18, but just bear with me while I give the examples that are written down. And kind of like the new cards that come and help stem a little bit of that inflation and the anticipation and the infusion of cards bring down the price a little bit. But we'll get into that a little bit more. The black market and coin selling drives the economy. The gray market with MHC transaction and farm accounts. The market velocity of cards, junk cards and packs. And the few types of currencies that we have. You see 4 on your screen at the moment. That's not counting tickets, of course. But I'm going to use EA and Madden interchangeably here. They're considered developers by the same name, so just know that. First off, let's define a couple terms. Sinks and faucet. A sink drains water. So in our world, it drains the coins from the economy, right? And a faucet pours out water, so that's where the money comes from. So just know that. Sink, faucet. All right? First off, let's talk about coins, all right? We'll get to card value in them in a little later. So, how does EA get coins into the economy? Through a variety of means: solo rewards, daily quick sells, set rewards, objective rewards, rewards from head-to-head game modes like Draft Champion, Salary Cap, MUT Squads, Weekend League, and of course basic head-to-head games along with, well, I guess I can't say House Rules because those are NAT, but they do bring a little bit in there actually with the 40,000 6-0 coins. So, these coins are magically created and there's no limit to those coins. Even for solos, you can create new accounts and transfer them and, you know, potentially risk a ban. But regardless, so there are thousands of us earning coins around the clock every day of the week. Constantly. As long as this game's out forever until the servers die, there are people earning coins in this game. So it's a lot of currency being added to the economy every day. We're printing money basically consistently. In the real world, we have a central bank that regulates that money supply, but that is not the case in MUT. We have EA and their reward centers basically regulating it for this. So EA is the central bank of MUT, basically. So since we're all printing millions, I guess we're sort of the central bank too, since we're printing the millions. Not really. But there needs to be some way of balancing this all out, or else we'll get hyperinflation, where card prices start to cost more and more coins, and each coin becomes less and less valuable over time. So your cards will end up at 10 million coins a pop. We've seen this in FIFA in the past, but that's later down the road. We'll get to that. So how does EA get coins to leave the economy to prevent this hyperinflation of all of us printing coins continually? Mainly through a few means. The biggest one we see right here is the auction house and the 10% tax you get for when you buy a card. The seller gets the 10% tax subtracted from the amount of coins they get, as that just ended on me. You got the Draft Champions and Salary Cap tickets. We used to have contracts, which was a sink, but no longer are in the game. But they weren't that huge. They really basically punished like the lower, no money spent guys. So I hated contracts. I'm glad they're gone. Injury cards in the past too, if you're going way back. People buying packs with coins and another coin sink. And to some sort of extent, people quitting the game that just kind of leave their coins stagnant on their accounts. Also a little bit of a sink. And now these sinks are how EA balances the coins from getting out of control with the rewards we get from the auctions we take. Or the actions we take. Sorry, I can't read it. The solos we grind, the head-to-head games we win. So this is kind of like balance. So is this enough to stop that inflation from all the coins that we are printing on those things? As we've seen in the past, or especially earlier this year, the certain sinks that they have do not balance out the faucets, right? The things that they take the coins out of the economy, that doesn't help it as much, because we still get rapid inflation. How does EA fully balance it out, right? EA gives out packs as rewards too, and packs are coin neutral. So this isn't a coin sink or faucet, but what do packs contain? Are, cards. So it increases the supply of cards in the market, but doesn't touch the amount of coins. So packs are a card faucet, not a coin. So if we get nothing but pack rewards and no coin rewards, what happens? Prices go down. On the flip side, if we get nothing but coin rewards, prices go up. We've hit that already. So ask yourself, why does EA reward both packs and coins for rewards? Generally, they haven't as much lately. They sometimes do. It does feel good to get both, but it really helps balance the market so it doesn't teeter one way or the other too hard on inflation or deflation. But you might be saying, why do prices go up generally over time without new content? And we saw in that first month of the game. EA gives both coin and card rewards at that time. True. So a few things. First and most importantly, packs don't drop high overalls very frequently. So the high drop rate of coin rewards isn't balanced. Basically, more coins are generated than high overall cards are printed. And the double whammy is that you acquire more cards with your reward packs, you sell them for coins, and you're not pulling high overall. So you're like, wait, what happened? Wait, what's this last paragraph? That doesn't make sense. Let me give you a second. So with no new content, golds and elite prices crash, and they keep going down as people sell them off for the coins, and they get higher overall cards to increase their team's roster, right? So the pack trash crashes with no new sets, and the high ones keep going higher. We see that at Start 'em Out every year. Because at the beginning of the year, you always want to sell your low cards because people are still using those cards to improve their team. But on that note, a couple of things gave us really big inflation early, I think 18, a little bit into 19. A lot of the solo rewards are NAT cards, so it's an infusion of coins, but no cards to sell to balance it out. So like there's no auction house activity there, and people buying that star. So what happens? Prices go up. If people aren't, if people have those cards on the roster already, and the high overall cards are NAT. Did that make sense? I don't know if it did. Let's just move on. And not only that, you now don't have a position to fill on your roster since that NAT card, that reward card, is sitting there. So you have double the coin. You're not spending it on that high overall card, and you've already got something filled out. So you can spend on the next position. Obviously, the time you spent to go into the NAT card, it's a little mixed there because that time could have spent could have been spent to get auctionable rewards from like head to head. So there's a little bit of a balancing act there, and it's a little bit more minutiae, I don't know if minutiae is the right word for that than that. So that's just a sentence. We'll throw it out there. So we've learned EA's coin sinks aren't powerful enough to stop the economy from runaway inflation. All right, especially at the beginning of the year when we don't get new content that much. So what do? Obviously, they print new and more powerful cards, right? That brings the price on old cards down. This both decreases the demand on those old cards and increases the economic activity to get more tax from the auction house, because people as they're selling and buying new cards, the coin sink, sinks go into action and take coins out of the economy. As you probably know, if we don't have those promos, prices kind of keep trending up. If we don't get those new cards, prices keep going up on the old cards. So without better new content, this leads to runaway inflation. So along with the weekly programs like Team of the Week, Legends, Ultimate Legends, that kind of stuff, EA introduces new content, which is better than the old stuff. So say you bought this is again an early season example. Say you bought a core Elite 90 overall for $500K. Well, Team Heroes come out, and you get a 91 overall at each position that costs like $300K to make. What's going to happen to the old card? It's going to crash, destroying the value of that card. But the funny thing here is, the value of card crashing took 0 coins out of the economy. So say you had a 500,000 coin card, now you have a 300,000 coin card. You're like, oh man, coins crash. But guess what? The economy is still circulating the same number of coins as it did prior to your crash. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Even though you personally lost coins, I just read that, said that. So all these factors combine to continually lower the price of cards as the years move on. We've seen this continually over MUT. Prices constantly go down. But the MUT ecosystem depends very heavily on fresh new content in order to keep the auction house alive and thriving. Old stuff just doesn't keep the economy moving. The velocity of cards of old cards isn't very high, with some exceptions. Check with me like in March. So let's look at like old programs and stuff while I'm on the auction house here, about these older cards, these old, like how often versus like when they come out, how many of these cards are still in the block. Harvest, these things are still popping out of packs now that I think about it. So maybe because they're coming out of packs, people are still listing them. That's not a bad point. So I'm gonna move on with the older cards not going as much, because they do get printed still, and they do, maybe not as expensive, maybe not as sought after, but there's still quite a few of them on the auction house, with some exception. Obviously there's some, but like the lower end cards, yeah, and these are still popping on packs. The training market keeps them hot. So EA's done a good job keeping old content relevant this year. So no longer do I feel like old content isn't as valued as new content. Well, in some sense, it's still valued, but not nearly as much as when those overalls and those MUT heroes were, higher to the edge. So all these factors combine to continue to lower the price of cards as the years move on. I read that one. Moving on to the black market and the gray market and MUT. I mentioned earlier that coins and cards leave the economy because people just stop playing the game. Now, that's not the case. When people leave, they leave the game. So because those cards are still on accounts, the person could boot up again and buy or sell, and they're so like when they leave the game, they're out of the functional economy, right? They're out of circulating stuff. So whatever's their account's locked. You see a lot of old limiteds kind of not really be on the block. Like I have Vita Van trying to sell him, he's not selling, but he's still like the only one up in the market. So like a lot of the cards are kind of just stuck there. People quick sell them. They're gone from the market for good because Vita doesn't have a power up. You don't really see that card very much. Regardless, basically a dead account. So now this next statement is going to be my guessing. I wouldn't know for certain without EA's internal data, but I'm going to say because I'm 90% sure. What the fuck is that sentence? All right, forget what I just said. There are 3 mechanisms for coins and cards to keep circulating even after a player has given up on the game. One legal, which is no longer legal, Mudhead credit. That's more of a gray area now. The gray area, which are giveaways, and an illegal, which is coin selling. Well, against terms of service, not illegal against the law. With the trade block locked down in Madden 19 and 18, coin selling, coin giveaways, and Mudhead credit deals, they cause inflation in the top end of the market because they allow coins to transfer from what would be an inactive account to an active one, therefore giving the player resources by a card he previously couldn't. More active coins chasing the same number of active cards. Now, you could argue that cards are on inactive accounts, and I guess that's what I wanted to say. It just didn't make any sense earlier. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would assume when most people quit the game, they sell off their cards, but again, I might be wrong there. So the inflation versus deflation, generally, I'd have to look at EA's internal numbers on that one. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. When people leave the game, are they more likely to let their coins sit or they just cards sit? Man, maybe cards. I might be wrong on that. But a lot of people will sell off their stuff to black market, so they'll somehow transfer either through limited time cards for 500,000 coin quick sell. But basically, they allow players to acquire coins cheaper than they would through packs, therefore causing inflation is my final point on the black market. Next up, I was about to say coin selling could be its own video, and there's people on both sides of the fence when it's brought up. Some people say, yeah, that's literally what I just talked about. Reserve currencies. Let's move on to that. A lot of games use reserve currency. Madden's got our fair share of reserve currencies. I don't know if I'm going to go into the depths of what a reserve currency, but basically reserve currencies are used to buy. I mean, we have them right here, right? Points are used to buy packs. Coins are used to buy packs. Training is kind of like a reserve currency for upgrades and stuff. Basically a way to help prevent inflation. Madden doesn't really need it. Madden Mobile needs it, that's for sure, and that's why they've introduced new currencies. They've had a ton of currencies in their game, and people fucking hate it. That's why I really don't want currencies to go any more. Even scouts is too much, in my opinion. Just take care of all that stuff with training, bring value there. So they do use those kind of stuff to fight inflation, but I have not seen any reason to fight inflation in MUT in the last 5 years. So really, I really hope they don't do any more currencies. So on to cards. And their faucets are similar to coins. We get them through various rewards, but of course there are a few major differences that we'll get to. Sinks are far different for cards because it's mostly sets that take out of the cards or quick selling for training. But let's get on to how cards are valued. There are 4 basises, I'd say 5 basises to how cards are valued right now. Their rarity, their overall, which ties into their training. So I could put, I want to say 4 because overall is the same as training value, right? Because they're basically 1-to-1 with each other. Then the underlying stats and then the name of the card. So you see that the rarity of the cards, the overall / training value, the underlying stats, and the name on the card. First up, we'll talk about rarity. A card's value rarity is basically how hard it is to obtain because like there are certain cards on the market and we'll just go like head-to-head rewards. Who do we want to go to? The like head to head. Ooh, are there no Jeffries on the market, or did I spell that wrong? Jeff, is it E? I don't know. I was gonna go to Alshon Jeffrey. I think he was a head-to-head reward. But there are certain cards that come, like limited time cards are more rare, but they have an artificially boosted floor. Okay. Wasn't he a head-to-head seasons reward? Anyways, not as many of those are circulating as say Le'Veon Bell campaign reward, right? There's a ton of those things circulating. Although he's NAT now. What's another one what's another card we get through solo? Stephen Gilmore. I think we get, was he NAT too? Ultimate Legend cards. Whoops, wrong one. But anyways, the rarity of the card affects its value. If something is easy to get, then its supply is high, it's going to be lower priced. Easy, right? We're the head-to-head. Head-to-head, please. I missed it, didn't I? Series trophy rewards. Alshon, yeah. So there's no Series Master Alshon on the block. You can look at, say, Justin Houston. Not many of these things were made or sold because if people did them, they generally did NAT. Anyways, rarity is an important factor. If something's hard to get, like, remember golden tickets when there used to only be 100 of them? They used to be pricey because there's only 100 of them, and, well, there's a few factors there with the golden tickets. But, like, back in the day, remember when there was, like, those chemistry Clownies and Antonio Browns, and everybody could easily do those solos and get them and sell them quickly? There was a ton of them on the market. Hundreds of them were bought a day, and their prices held because they were actually good cards. And then you look at the other ones that are like more expensive, like I talk about those head-to-head masters, and it's because of rarity. So that's one way of judging how valued a card is, the rarity. Like we talked about with the Antonio Brown, Jadeveon Clowney, and other cards that move really fast. Maybe one of these Ultimate Legends, like a Sean Taylor or something. There's a ton of them are bought on a daily basis. That's the velocity of the card. So when I talk about how the velocity of a card is how often it is bought. And maybe this video is going on too long. I'm sorry for it going so hard, so long. I didn't mean it to be this long, but there's a lot of content to get through, and I'm stumbling on some words. So yeah, it's a high velocity card. It moves through the system quite frequently. The lower the overall, generally, the more velocity it happens. Like mid 80 cards are bought quite frequently, even lower than that, than these high 90 cards. So I wouldn't exactly call these high end cards because they're so expensive high velocity cards. But it's just the first one I thought of at the top end of the range. So further than talk on rarity and packs, we have junk cards, aka junk cards, aka pack fillers. EA used to do a better job turning that trash into value for pack trash. This year we really have seen EA kind of drop the ball on that with sets. We don't have that Player of the Month set like I think it was at 17. Player of the Month was fucking phenomenal. So we don't have like the Gold Master, Silver Master sets yet. That's really disappointing. But I absolutely love when pack filler has value. I don't know if somebody would disagree with that. If you do, let me know. But like when you pull packs, I think the silvers and gold should go for something. The only thing that silvers go for right now, the value to the low silver, so like the lowest end of the market, is to pull through the trade-in set through the low silver to low silver for 68 power-ups. So the 68 power-ups are nice, and the day that they're released, that Sunday, you can sell them for quite a bit. So that's the only pack filler that I think has value. They need to fix the low elite pack trash value, the gold, both high and low, and then the high silver value, and they need to figure out a way to make those more valuable. So obviously we know pack trash, like remember like that 74 Josh Morgan back in the day, 150,000 coins. That's fine. I prefer it across the board, raise to pack value. I prefer wild cards for Player of the Month, team sets, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I want to talk about with pack trash. We'll continue to go on to the other ways of valuing a card, and those were through. Sorry, let me go back to this. The overall we all know training value on the market, how much each training point costs. Generally, like the 98 Ultimate Legends are going for the most for going for the least amount of coins per training, and that's what you want. So a card is valued. A lot of these cards you'll notice basically hit a minimum price depending on their overall. So that's important. And sometimes people just love seeing the overall on the card, but generally training value holds up the overall prices this year at their certain levels. So it's a neat addition to the game. I like it. I like training, although it seems a little bit lower now. 7,000 for an 84. It's not the greatest, but it is what it is this time of year. Next up, the underlying stats. A card is valued, besides for like how well it's supplied, how much it's coming out of packs, how good the card is overall. There's a reason why maybe you'll look at Megatron here. There's a reason he goes for 445, and he has the same rarity as Sean Taylor at 380. Now, Sean Taylor's stats are great, but Megatron is the best receiver in the game, hands down. Sean Taylor is up there, probably. I'd put him at my number one, but he can't cross man that well. So tied with first, maybe second, if you like to cross man a little bit at free safety or safety overall. There's a lot of safeties, but it's really hard to replace Megatron. So the underlying stats cause the difference in price, and then the name on the card. Now, a lot of people might not think this, or they probably do know this, but they don't actively think about it. Like, look at the difference between the traditional Tom Brady's and Drew Breeses of the world. Brady and Breeze can basically do the same thing, right? So Tom Brady, right here, this playoff card. There's set factors and stuff too, but 235. Wow, I can't believe I spelled his name that wrong. 2 E's and 1 S. Let's just look for elite tier Breeze. So when these cards are similar overall, people demand Brady because they think more of him. Yeah, it's tough with the different overalls. That's why they're priced differently. But generally, like say if Edelman and Antonio Brown have the same stats, I'm buying the Antonio Brown because I like him more than Edelman, even though he just left the Steelers. You can say that with anybody's favorite team. So having the name on the card definitely matters, even though they can do very similar things. That's another thing that drives value to cards too. So just wanted to get that out there. Move. I have a lot left to go here. I'm just gonna run it. Mutt's greatest accomplishment is turning the coins we have in the game into something we actually want. I do believe we earn these coins, and we could just keep stacking them. We could sit on our riches like a goddamn dragon. But it is amazing that they put out cards almost like on an every other day basis, maybe every few days, and we want them. Like, we want to play the game with a newly minted team, even though we hate the gameplay. Mutt does a great job, whether through the artwork, through the things that we do, turning these coins, making us demand these cards to use our coins on. So, great job, EA there. But and here's the thing: what we want in the game does vary. I've done a video on the 8 different types of Mutt players or Madden players. You can check that out. I think I did that earlier this year. Maybe it was last year. Right? Maybe it was a year ago already. You can search for that on the channel. So like what people want out of the cards is different, but all those different things leads us back to getting our cards with coins, which again, neat. There's many different ways. There's master set completions. The reason we do this, we play to dominate head-to-head weekend league to win solo battles, just to keep grinding for our team completions. Like I said, check out that video for why people play. But EA does cater to almost every single one of those markets pretty well. So they know their market basically. And people saying like EA is just a bunch of dumbasses. Like, they're smarter than we think, but they're also, they do miss quite a bit too, unfortunately. So I kind of just said that again. People want to get cards to help them win games, right? That's the main driver. And that's why, like, because people want to win games, and that's the main driver of a majority of the gameplay, a majority of the consumer base, we want to win games. That's why the closer you get to the cutting edge, to the highest overall, to the best card, the way more expensive it gets. Maybe they only provide you a 1%, 2% boost and in performance. It's going to cost you a significant amount more. Like, I don't know how many play like EVE Online, but like you look at like some of the top end things, you're like, oh, that's just like a percentage or two better than the last one, but it costs twice as much. So like when you look at these high end, high, like 98, 99 overall cards, and you're like, well, their stats are only 3 to 5% better than cards that cost a fraction of the cost. Like look at the difference between. Let me go. I don't know. I don't know who should pick out. That's no limited time cards because that has artificial floors, and I've done videos on artificial floors and how much I hate them. Let's do Wagner, 679, 660. All right, Wagner's at 660. Now I know we get a free middle linebacker that's just the same as Wagner, but let's say you want a middle linebacker that's going to be, I don't know, he's going to do 95% of the job as Wagner. So you're going to take off 5%. 5% off 98. We'll throw it down to the 93, 94. Well, let's do 94. 94 overall middle linebackers. So you're gaining 5% performance boost generally, and you can say the speed. Well, what is 87? 87 to 92. So 5 speed too. We'll say 5%. So, and it's costing you. So it's literally 5% bonus, just about, right? Your card's gonna perform 5% better with that stat. And look how much more he costs. 142.80. 560, maybe what, 5 times as much, if I can math, 4 to 5 times as much, and he's 5% better. Like, you can win with Woodyard. It's harder, definitely harder. You can win with these guys that are 5% worse, but that's what the cutting edge does. Then you look at guys that are maybe 2% worse. Romanowski's slow, 86 ain't that slow. Kuechly, 88. Kuechly's what, half the price? Nah, a little bit more than half the price. Romanowski's what, 6 speed slower? I don't know, 266. But anyways, he's training value. But you get my point, right? The cards that go overall up to the top peak performer, it is a straight up. So that's a good thing to notice. As you get close to that cutting edge, you will get absolutely knocked out with the price. So one last thing I want to talk about before we head out. The biggest advantage Madden has over like a lot of other MMORPGs, like massive things, is that it resets every year. So like no matter how badly they fuck up one year, come August, it's a whole new ball game. Like they maybe we yell at them for a couple months at how messed up their market is or what's wrong with their cards. And guess what? They can learn that and fix that for the next year. Like this year, speed boosts, it happened too early. We saw this stuff coming in October. They didn't do anything to change it, but they can change it in August. So we're only stuck with this shitty system for 1 year. And it allows EA to be more flexible with their both economy, their ability to try things out. I know they're a big corporation, and big corporations are risk averse, but man, if you don't take risks in this game, you are going to get plowed over by those who will, like the Fortnites of the world. So, that's it I want to talk about with the economy. But there's more to it, obviously. That's just scratching the surface just about, although we did hit 30 minutes of, just about 30 minutes of content. But thanks for watching. Call to action. Let me know if you have any questions, comments in the section below. I think you guys know how to write down there. If not, you can go ahead and call me a jerk and get your YouTube cherry popped. But that is it. Thanks for watching. Call to action. See you guys tomorrow.